Assalamualaikum to Dr. Wan and my fellow friends. We are from Group 5. We'll be presenting our case study for the case of University of Pennsylvania data breaches to hits in November. Before starting, please allow me to introduce our group member. My name is AINA binti NORJAFNI, along with my friend Safura binti Ruslee, NURSYAFIQAH NABIHAH binti ROHZAMZURI, and ZAYRATUL bin ZAYRUL Kamal. The introduction to digital forensics. What are digital forensics? According to Blue Voyant 2023, stated that digital forensics is a branch of forensic science that involves the practice process of identifying, acquiring, analyzing, and documenting digital evidence in the electronic devices. The purpose of this practice is to identify and search for the digital evidence that are contained in basically most of the electronic devices such as cell phones, tablets, gaming consoles, laptop and desktop computers. Through the searching of the devices, investigators managed to find some of the evidence including data theft and network breaches, online fraud and identity theft, violent crimes like burglary, assault and murder, and lastly, white-collar crime. Next, I'll be explaining the categories of digital forensics that involves in this incident. The first category are known as the network forensic. These incidents involves unauthorized access and data breaches that usually occur through network and network forensic. That requires it to work using real-time network by monitoring, recording, and analyzing their activities rather than stored data. Network forensic allows investigators to discover evidence such as source of security attacks, intrusions, or other problem incidents such as worms, virus, or malware attacks, abnormal network traffic, and security breaches. In this case, network forensics are used by analyzing the network traffic, logs, IP addresses, and intrusion activities in order to identify how the attacker can access and what data was exposed. The next category is the database forensics. According to Open Learn University 2026, it includes a process of investigating database forensics involves investigating access to database and reporting changes made to the data. This investigation focuses on examining the database to ensure data validity and to verify the activities of authorized or unauthorized users involved in the University of Pennsylvania data breach case.
My name is Safura binti Ruslee and represent for the background of case with its context and detail. Regarding case 1, which is University of Pennsylvania hacking accidents, this case is a data breach case that occurred at the University of Pennsylvania on November 31, 2025. This case involved the theft of information from students, alumni, staff, and community members through attacks on student email and accounts. According to ANSA Secure ND, the allegation that $1.2 million alumni and student record may have been decrypted at Penn, including access through compromised SSO account, VPN, SharePoint, Salesforce, SAP, and BI systems, highlight the high leverage value of non-financial crowdsourced dataset. Next, I will present for the background of case context and detail for case 2, which is Penn's Oracle EBS breach. So, this case involved 100 identified incidents that occur simultaneously in the widely used Oracle e-business suite. This involving previously unknown security vulnerabilities in Oracle system. On this case, the attackers have succeeded to collect 1,488 people's personal in University of Pennsylvania information by taking advantage of a security hole in financial applications.
In 2025, University of Pennsylvania, or also known as UPenn, suffered two different forms of cybersecurity breaches. The initial and second incidents occurred in October and November 2025 respectively. These two cases were major data breaches that hit many individuals within the Penn community. The initial attack was a social engineering attack where hackers deceived a Penn employee to provide their login details. The second case was a zero-day exploitation of vulnerability. Penn became a victim of a highly popular Oracle e-business suite attack that featured an unfamiliar security vulnerability in the Oracle system. Suspected activities. The attackers initially broke into the account of an employee in the October incident. They accessed an employee PenKey SSO account, which provided them entry into the Pen VPN, Salesforce, Click Analytics, SAP, and SharePoint files. The attackers did not just target a single system, but they shifted to several systems within the university network. Once they had access, first, they used official Pen email accounts to send mass mail. The content of these emails was offensive because they stated that we got hacked to embarrass the university. Second, they gathered huge volumes of data that they had stolen of about 1.2 million students, alumni, and donors. Third, they even posted part of the stolen information on the internet. They posted thousands of pages of internal documents such as university talking points, memos on donors, bank transaction receipts, and personal identifying information. As for the November incident, hackers exploited a security weakness in Oracle e-Business Suite application. On November 11, 2025, Pen identified that an unauthorized party had breached data its Oracle e-Business Suite, a financial suite that handles supplier payments, reimbursements, and other university business. Digital evidence involved. Various forms of digital evidence have been utilized by forensic investigators in the Pen breaches. Let's see. First, authentication and access logs. Authentication logs would be one of the most valuable pieces of evidence because when one accesses the system, their username and their point of access will be shown within the logs. In the case of the breach in October, the investigators would have to review the Pen key SSO logs to find out when and how the employee account was breached. They would also require the logs of VPN connections so that they can track the IP address and where the attackers have connected. Second, email server logs. The email server logs were important evidence because remember when I mentioned that the attackers were sending mass emails using the accounts of the Graduate School of Education at Penn? Yeah, this was it. These logs would indicate what emails were dispatched, when, to whom, and on what computers or IP address. The evidence may be used to track the activities of the attackers. Third, database access records. The hackers entered several databases such as Salesforce, Oracle e-Business Suite, and SharePoint. There would be logs of database access logs, which would indicate what was accessed at what time and what queries were executed to assist investigators to know precisely what information has been stolen. Fourth, network traffic captures. Network traffic data is captured as part of network forensic evidence. So this means it displays everything that passed through the network of Pen during the attack. The investigators can study this traffic to determine whether the network was sending or receiving large volumes of data and to whom it was sent. Fifth, file access and modification records. The systems record the time of opening, copying, and or making modification on files. File access logs would also be useful in determining the specific files stolen and the time of theft, since the attackers published the internal files in thousands of pages. 6. External evidence. The external evidence was presented by the very hackers who published stolen documents online. Remember, I mentioned earlier also, these published documents are used as evidence of what information was breached. Also, the mass emails, I mentioned, sent by them could be taken as evidence also, since these messages were received by many individuals who could offer copies. Last but not least, forensic images. It is likely that digital forensic investigators produce forensic images, which also known as precise copies of the affected systems. These images keep the computer and server states as they used to be during the incident. They may be examined in the future without alteration or loss of evidence, which makes the evidence admissible in case of legal action.
Next, I will present for the timeline and sequence University of Pennsylvania hacking incidents. So first, in October 31st, 2025, which is the University of Pennsylvania email was targeted on the first cyber attack. Second is late October 31st, 2035, which hacker admitted to stealing data, including PEN's donor data. Third is November 5th, 2035, when report data bench to Federal Bureau of the Investigation, which is FBI, and on the same day, the University of Pennsylvania verified the data theft. So the fifth one is mid-November 2035, which is forensic investigation into the breach is still ongoing. Next, I will present for the timeline and sequence for case 2, which is PEN's Oracle EBS breach. First, on early mid-2035, which is July until August, exploitation of zero-day vulnerability has begun. Second is November 11, 2035, which is a data breach that occurred to the Oracle EBS system has been confirmed by UPenn. On late November 2035, the Maine Attorney General Office estimates the number of victims involved. And for the 4 December until January 2026, this enforcement is ongoing and reports about the extensive effect of Oracle EBS are updated on a regular basis.
Actions taken. University of Pennsylvania responded to the incidents in several ways after finding out about the two breaches, correcting the security issues and averting future attacks. These measures can be classified as immediate response, medium-term actions, long-term improvements, and legal actions. So let's see immediate response action. What did they do? By the time Penn learned about the breaches, they had to move swiftly to prevent more harm. So first, involving law enforcement, Penn made an emergency call to the federal police. Penn also noted the case to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, also known as FBI. The FBI is a valuable partner to work with as they have specific skills in cybercrime and are able to assist in tracing the hackers. FBI also has the means to research hackers who may be in different nations. Second, applying security patches. In the case of November Oracle breach, Penn acted directly on the technical side. Penn applied the patches which Oracle released to address the vulnerability. So, what is a patch? A patch is a computer program to update or fix an application or software to close security breaches. So in this case, Penn was able to close the door that the attackers used to enter by using the patches promptly. Moving on to the medium-term action. First, notifying the affected ones. Penn began to send people notification letters in case their data was stolen. As the notification letter stated, Penn wrote that some data in Penn Oracle EBS had been unlawfully obtained. The breach impacted 1,488 state residents, according to information submitted to the Office of the Maine Attorney General. Penn wrote in their notification letter that this incident is taken very seriously and sincerely apologizes to everyone affected. Penn even stated that protecting our community is of utmost importance, and we are committed to maintaining the privacy and security of your information. Second, ongoing investigation. Penn has opened an investigation on the hack of October. This investigation allows Penn to gain insight into their security vulnerabilities as well as gain knowledge of what to do with legal prosecution against the hackers. Penn was also trying to get an overview of the extent of the damage. To Penn, this information has not been and is unlikely to be published or abused significantly, which could be fraudulent. The third action, long-term improvement. Penn is also prepared to enhance future security and to avoid such occurrences. So they established a compulsory security training. Training for all staff was one of the actions that were taken as a long-term measure. Due to the data breach, Penn established compulsory information security training for all employees. This kind of training is highly essential as the breach in October occurred because of social engineering, meaning that an employee was deceived. This training assists the employees in identifying phishing emails, suspicious requests, and other social engineering tricks. Last but not least, legal action. This one is leaning more onto the affected side, where they file a class action lawsuits against the university. Some of the alumni have also initiated class action suits against the university after the October breach, claiming that PEN failed to safeguard their personal data adequately. These lawsuits allege that PEN failed to ensure personal information security.
Now let's proceed with the overview of Digital Forensic Framework called as NIST SP800-86. Let's start with the background. NIST incident response lifecycle consists with 4 phases, which is the collection, examining, analyzing, and reporting to ensure a structured and standardized approach. The NIST framework was developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology to be used by an organization. The purpose of NIST, according to Ken 2006, is to inform readers of various technologies and potential ways of using them in performing incident response or troubleshooting activities. There are 2 components consist of NIST SP800-86. First is incident lifecycle. This component is providing a structured approach to handling security incidents. This component consists of 4 phases, namely preparation, detection, eradication, and recovery, and outlines specific activities that need to be carried out by the incident response team to ensure a coordinated and effective response. Second is the incident handling methodology phase. This component focuses on best practice for incident detection and analysis, containment, remediation, and recovery, as well as helping organizations develop a robust incident response strategy. Next, there are 2 NIST application strategies that will be discussed. First is technical preparation. Technical preparation is a strategy that must be prioritized in the application of NIST SP800-86. This is because in the absence of technical infrastructure and tools to conduct digital forensic procedures or barriers to technical preparation, the digital forensic procedures performed and the evidence discovered will be erroneous and likely to produce weak evidence in terms of criteria and authenticity. This includes the requirement that analysts have a forensic toolkit for gathering, analyzing, and examining data. Next is substantial modifications. This strategy is to guarantee its applicability and efficacy in thwarting competency cyber threats, given the speed at which technology is developing and the growing interconnection of digital systems. These modifications will encompass a variety of topics such as improving incident response procedures and implementing fresh approaches for gathering and analyzing threat and intelligence.
Assalamualaikum. My name is NURSYAFIQAH NABIHAH BINTI ROHZAMZURI, and I will explain the purpose and importance of this digital forensic framework. Firstly, the purpose is to ensure the integrity of digital evidence. It supports legal and regulatory compliance by maintaining a proper chain of custody and preventing the tampering of digital log and record. So in the term of importance, the framework enables systematic incident reconstruction, especially when multiple attack vector and system are involved. So in the University of Pennsylvania said that the framework helped investigators to analyze a social engineering attack and zero-day vulnerability in the Oracle e-business suite. So overall, a digital forensic framework ensure reliable, evident and efficient cybersecurity investigator. Next, I will explain the purpose and importance of having standardized forensic investigation procedure. First, the purpose is to standardize procedure help to ensure that evidence is collected and analyzed in a consistent and reliable way. They also make collaboration easier. especially when multiple parties are involved, such as internal security team, external cybersecurity expert, and law enforcement agency like the FBI. By using a common forensic language, everyone can understand the investigation process clearly. Now, the importance of this, which is the procedure ensure consistent documentation and reporting, allowing investigator to continue each other work without confusion. They also help to reduce duplication of effort and prevent the loss or neglect of critical evidence. So overall, standardized procedure improve efficiency, accuracy, and trust in forensic investigation. Next slide is mapping key stage with the case. So it has 4 stages, which is collection, examination, analysis, and reporting. So we go to the first one, which is the collection. The process makes it possible to identify a number of evidence criteria to ensuring that the evidence discovered is pertinent and not just an assumption. This process involve two methods used by forensic examiner to acquire evidence, which is to assess which system impact. This allow information from server log containing fraudulent message pertaining to the graduate school of education account will be gathered by investigator. While the process of acquiring data, several methods have been found in this procedure to gather data without altering the initial settings, such as copying and export the gathering log. Next stage is examination. Examination phase involves process collected data to extract relevant information from the breach system. So, investigator would examine authentication logs, email data, database record, and file access log from PAN's compromised system to including panicky SSO, VPN, Oracle e-business suite, Salesforce, and email served to extract login timestamp, IP address, email header, SQL query, and file access record. So, forensics tool would be used to identify unusual patterns such as foreign login, ad-hoc access, or lateral movement across system, helping to reveal exactly what data was accessed and when. The breach occurred during October and November 2025. So next stage is analysis. By matching digital evidence to understand what actually happened. In this case, the investigator analyzed the Oracle e-business suite log to see who accessed the system, and the database log will be compared to see what data was reviewed and viewed, and it will match with network log. Next is to find out how the data breach happened. Like this allow investigator to find the breach came from external attacker, and lastly, analyzing the data to identify the impact of the data breach. And lastly is reporting. So the reporting phase in the University of Pennsylvania data breach that involve comprehensive documentation and communication of finding to several stakeholders, which is a breach notification to authorities, Next is internal technical report, stakeholder briefing, and lastly for the reporting is regulatory compliance documentation. Based on the finding, there are three key of the recommendation. First, privileged access should be strictly restricted. Limiting access help prevent unauthorized user from taking control of organizational system, especially when user identity are not properly monitored. Second, organization should strengthen cybersecurity training and awareness. The employee need to understand cybercrime risks and how their attention can either prevent or contribute to security incident. This training help build a more alert and technically competent workforce. And finally and finally for the recommendation is the organization should implement multi-factor authentication and a zero trust architecture. This measure add extra layer of security, especially to critical system, database, and administrative tasks. So overall, this recommendation help reduce cyber risk and strengthen organization security.
In conclusion, this case study is to analyze the University of Pennsylvania data breach to enhance understanding of digital forensic methodologies. By investigating the incident's chronology and background, the research maps the breach's technical sequence to the NIST forensic framework, which is the collection, examination, analysis, and reporting. This alignment demonstrates how a structure for phase investigations process effectively identifies vulnerabilities and evidence. Ultimately, this paper provides a reliable roadmap for forensic investigators to implement strategic solutions, and best practice in future cloud-based security incidents.